Welcome to the December Housing Market Report 2021. I'm Krishna Perkins, and today I want to talk about the seasonality of the housing market and how that typically affects us each and every year and what that looks like right now. I also want to talk about with the pent-up seller demand that exists in the market, and what does that look like, and how is that going to affect the market, and finally the interest rate perspective on mortgages and how that's going to affect the housing market in 2022. So right off the bat, when we talk about seasonality, typically we see the housing market really cool off in the winter, and then in the spring, people start gearing back up, get their house on the market, get it ready in the first quarter, and then that second quarter is when we really start seeing quite a bit of listing activity, and then it starts tapering back down at the end of June and July, and the cycle continues over and over again. As you can see from this chart here that I'm putting up on your screen, that that pattern has been pretty consistent over the years. So specifically from 2015 through 2019, that was a really steady pattern there. Each peak there started in June and started tapering down in July. And then here comes 2020. We have lockdowns, and the pattern's broken. We had strong sales. They did take a slight break initially when the lockdowns happened, but then when folks figured out they needed a new living arrangement, the sales surged on, and listing activity continued to wane. And we hit the bottom. You can see here we had what looks like a bottom in 2021 as far as listing activity, and now we have looks like we peaked again. We finally hit some type of peak. We don't know how that's going to play out exactly, but the best guess is that we're in a new peak that may continue throughout the winter. So this winter is shaping up to be the time that we would normally see April, May, June, with lots of listing activity. I know it's crazy to think like that. Typically we're just thinking about Christmas and or the winter break and hanging back, but that's not what's happening right now. A lot of sellers are thinking that they want to take advantage of the market while it's still hot. It has been tapering. Buyer sentiment has changed. It hasn't shifted to a buyer's market or anything like that, but the people are wanting to not miss out on being able to sell homes, especially any of those hard to sell homes. Those are the ones that you really like to get off your hands if you can, and this is a good time to do it. So January, February, March will be interesting months to see how the inventory levels react. So here in Bexar County, we're actually looking at an increase in November this year of 2.3% in inventory levels, and then in San Antonio, 2.1% increase in inventory levels, and then Converse coming in with 19.8% increase in new listing levels. So that is quite a jump right there. So right there, that's some proof that the shift in the market is definitely taking place. I know having a +2 doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it is progress in a direction. We'll see how January and February shape up. It'll be very interesting to see. And then where is the inventory really coming from? The majority of this inventory is pent up sellers from years past, from 2008 to 2021. Prior to that time frame, it was expected you would be in your house for about 6 years. From 1985 to 2008, the average tenure was 6 years. After the great financial crisis, that tenure average jumped up to 9.2 years from 2008 to 2021. With all the changes in living situations this past year, the average dropped down to 8 years. So we'll see how that shapes up in 2022, if that was just a one-off, or are we headed for that iceberg, if you will, of pent-up home sellers continue melting, in 2022 at a faster rate. I don't know, but it's quite a few people that are just stuck in their home, and when that finally reaches a point that it can really kind of melt off, we could see more inventory. I don't know if it's going to come all at once, or if it's going to just continue to slowly melt throughout the year. But it's a very interesting time in real estate. So we'll continue to keep you educated on what's happening here. And then, as you can see here on this next slide, Realtor.com has some research out on some of these sellers, and the majority of sellers that responded said they do plan to sell in the next 6 months, and starting in this winter. And about 65% have just listed or plan to list this winter. 93% have already taken steps toward listing their home, including work with an agent. And then 36% have reached out to find out what their value is of their home. So the wheels are turning in the housing market on both sides, for buyers and sellers. If you're a buyer in the housing market, continue to stay diligent and watch for your home to pop up, because it can come up at an unexpected time. Sellers are bringing their homes on the market, so don't sit back and wait for spring. It may come up when you least expect it to come up. If you're a seller, remember that the buyers are there right now. Their sentiment has changed somewhat, so it's not as feverish, but they are in the market now. We don't know what's going to happen with the Fed, and they are expected to raise interest rates. We don't know how that will ultimately affect buyers. We expect that it won't stifle the housing market, but we don't know. There could be something out there that happens that that's totally unexpected. So we just do the best we can with the information we have. Historically, let me leave you with this last thought. Historically, interest rates have really not made a huge difference in the depreciation or appreciation of the market. Leaving you here with this last slide. So from 2000 to 2005, we saw rates from 5.8 to around 6. As you can see, we had depreciation all throughout that time. And then, of course, we had the great financial crisis, and we did see quite a bit of depreciation due to that. With lower interest rates brought in, you can see it tapered the depreciation back to an appreciating market. And even when that was over and we started seeing appreciation again and increase of rates, we still saw appreciation in the market. So bottom line, if you're a seller, it's okay to put your house on the market now because the buyers are still there. If you're a buyer, continue to stay diligent and watching for your home even this winter, because sellers are starting to respond, and they are putting their houses on the market when you least expect it. So if you have any questions, let me know. You can reach me at 210-260-6617. And Look forward to seeing you on the next video.